Humakni, Kleipap the third Yapemni, Nisenan Nimni, Hukum Niki, Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe Non, Nisenan Kawi. So good morning. My name is Clyde Prout III. I'm the chairman for the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe, and this is Nisenan land, and I am Nisenan. So I want to open this day with a prayer that was written by my mentor and my uncle, who I looked up to a lot. His name was Stephen Prout. So, Ni kumwak tumena ni hedi isim. Yotopayam nes hon weneti oko. Ni tumena buhupem paeli nes. Tumayam ni yotopayam nes wenem honi. Hon nes tuktoto. Hon wenem nik hedina oko hon. Umwakna niseka udadao yotopayam mano. Mukutin oko. So this is just to pray for everyone here today, pray for the land, pray for everyone coming together and gather with good hearts and good intentions. I had to write everything out so I make sure I get all my points across. So, it's a great honor and privilege to be here and to be able to stand here with everyone. Words can't begin to express what this means for the tribe, for my family, for the community, and just having a place where we can come together again. For generations, the people of this area, my family, and tribal families, this is our ancestral homelands. And over time, we watched a place that was once plentiful and beautiful and just free reign slowly be dwindled away, and loss of our places that we gather and practice ceremony or traditions. And it's been a devastating thing to watch places that you knew growing up slowly just dwindle away from private ownership, or just being fenced off, or just destroy altogether. I'm trying not to get emotional. So through loss of our ancestral homelands and termination of the tribe, and through just unfair and unjust acts, it's been hard for the tribe and the tribal community to do what we need to do or practice and carry on our traditions. But still, through those times, we remained resilient and carried on the best we could. I'm honored to be a descendant of my family's bloodlines, and I'm honored to carry my last name, which is Prout, and I'm just proud to be a Nisenan Miwok person. For a long time, it's been a dream for my family and many members of the community to have a land base where we can come together, practice traditions, and revitalize our native plants that have lost their way. So just some brief history of the tribe. Hope you guys don't get bored hearing my voice. So in the early 1900s, a piece of property in Colfax was purchased for the quote-unquote homeless, landless Indians. I mean, we were here, but they considered us homeless, so. So this property was purchased and was called the Colfax Rancheria. And while the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or the BIA as we call it, was receiving funding and money for the property, they didn't help any of the tribal people actually obtain access to the property. When it was purchased, the Colfax Rancheria was surrounded by private-owned property and was not accessible to the public. And you could only come through the Nevada County side or Placer, because all the property around the rancheria itself is private. And even if we were actually able to access the property easily, it was only 80% was already on a hillside with dense forest, and only about 20% actually being feasible to live on at the bottom with water. Despite even those challenges, a few members of the tribal community reached out to the Bureau of Indian Affairs asking for allotment, asking for help to move onto the property. One of them being my grandmother, Lola Gilbert Prout, sought help from the BIA, which the first time she wrote, she was told that they wouldn't help her with access to the property or able to actually get to it. Then again in 1958, she reached out again, and this time they said that they were in the process of selling, and if she was to move there, she may have to move again. So at the time, the BIA was already in the process of selling the rancheria, considering it an abandoned rancheria, meaning that no one was there, so why keep it, when in actuality people were interested in trying to obtain property and allotment to actually live and build homes and be stable. So the termination of the rancheria fell under the Rancheria Act, which is specifically in California. This act was to sell what was quote-unquote unused properties or terminate tribal lands. Sorry, guys. So although the rancheria fell under the 1958 Rancheria Act, it wasn't until the Second Amendment that it actually was sold. And from that sale, the rancheria was sold to a logging company who completely destroyed it. So at that time, so after the logging company got what it needed and what it was done for, it was sold off into individual and property sales or properties. The first being the White Oak subdivision off of Highway 174 in Colfax, and the other part closer to the Bear River. And although, so when the rancheria property was terminated, it was considered that the tribe was terminated. Which, I don't know how you terminate a tribe when we exist, but they did. So although we were considered terminated, we remained resilient and sorry guys. We continued to carry on the traditions best we could and still try to utilize as much as the land and language and everything that we could and what we knew. So in the early 2000s, the tribal community that was quote-unquote terminated officially formed a tribal government, which is now known as the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe. When I became tribal chairman in 2016, I wanted to further the advance of the dream of restoration. And you hear people use the word federally recognized. I don't like the word recognized because I know who I am as a person, as an indigenous person. I prefer the term restored because you need to restore the tribe as a whole. So when I became chairman, I focused on trying to get restoration, and again to have a place where we can come together and practice traditions and carry on. So actually 1 year ago today, we were fortunate enough to actually receive a small portion of our original rancheria property, thanks to a generous donation from Sue Gelati, who's been amazing support and actually lives on a piece of the original rancheria herself. So it feels fitting that today we're here again and we have a bigger place to be. And now I'm gonna put this down because I'm gonna speak from the heart on this one. It's a powerful, powerful feeling to have a place to carry tradition again and to have a place that we can call our own to actually revitalize our native plants that have been lost to us, revitalize our culture and do prescribed burnings and actually carry on traditions that, you know, for a long time seemed like they were gone because we didn't have a place that was our own to actually do things. And it's emotional for me just because so much of the elders in my family, elders in the tribe, they didn't get to see this from this point, but this is something that they dreamed of seeing, is a place to carry on tradition and, you know, share what we know. And when I do things, I always try to do them from my heart and for what I remember of my family and for the next generations that are coming, because I don't want to see this die. And it's important to me to keep these going. I just want to truly thank, I don't even think thank you is the right word or way to just properly describe all that Placer Land Trust and the Wildlife Conservation Board have done in the donation of this property to the tribe and how powerful it is. I can never truly express how grateful we are for that. So I'm gonna let Jeff talk for a little bit so I don't get all emotional.
Well, we got a machine above us now, but earlier I was listening to the birds, listening to Clyde speak in the native tongue that maybe hasn't been spoken on this property for a long time. And it sure feels good to hear Nisenan spoken on this land. So thank you for that. I'll just tell you a little bit about how this came to be from Placer Land Trust point of view. Yeah.
Give out a round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Julia's trying to record, so I'll pause for a second. Was that our neighboring helicopter?
I believe that's
yeah,
the neighbor.
Yeah. We drove by his house. He flies around here all the time. We figured, what are the odds he's going to fly during the ceremony? Pretty low, right? Same as it being trash day down in the parking area. But this is the world we live in, right? Placer Land Trust purchased this property in 2020 using funds from the Wildlife Conservation Board, and the purpose for the acquisition was to protect just the nature of the property, the open space, the wildlife habitat, and the forest. It was from their forest program. And I wish Gay Wiseman was here. She's a neighbor. She owns the adjacent property next door, and she kind of hooked us up with Neil Gerjuoy, who sold this property to us. And Neil is a remote landowner. He lives on the East Coast, and he was just going to sell the property for development. And Gay talked to him and convinced him to talk to the land trust. And so he pulled it away from the market and said, okay, I'll give you guys some time to see if you can, acquire this. And we did, and he was very generous with the sale terms. Even provided a donation back to the land trust after the project was done. And so we haven't really owned the property for very long. About a year ago, we were out on another property on the American River about 15 miles downstream in Applegate, and we were looking at this property for conservation. We still are. Hopefully we can get that one accomplished in the next year or two. But we were out there with Travis Young from the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe, and members of the United Auburn Indian Community and the Wilton Rancheria. And they were just helping us assess the property for its cultural values and understanding of what it was used for or might have been used for, who might have lived there in the past. And it's just beautiful open space. And as we often do when we're hiking around, we just started talking about other stuff that we're doing. And this idea of working together on a property, sharing stewardship of the land, was something we ended up talking about a lot. And then it came up like, well, is there any land that the land trust has that would be suitable for ownership by the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe? And so we said, we'll think about that. There might be a couple. A lot of times when we protect land, it has so many restrictions on it that it can't be used for anything other than one specific purpose. But we do have a lot of lands like this one where a lot can happen on this land. Clyde mentioned prescribed burns. There's habitat restoration that can be done. Native plants can be grown here, or and people can come out here and just enjoy the beauty of nature. So we did need to talk to the Wildlife Conservation Board, who was the funder of the project, to get that. It was specifically written into the grant agreement. Okay, we got to get their approval. So I was kind of nervous about that, but they were super supportive. And once we explained what the tribe wants to do out here, and that they would carry forward the obligation to protect this property in perpetuity, they immediately and enthusiastically gave their approval. And then from then on, it was just a real estate project, just going through the process of making sure that everybody did their due diligence, and the sun's come out, and we met out here a few times and walked around and visited the spring that I think Clyde might mention in a little bit, and it just seemed like a real suitable project and a real win-win. And at Placer Land Trust, we're all about bringing more people into conservation, and we don't want to do what we're doing by ourselves. And I know that the tribe doesn't want, the tribe also doesn't want to be the only one doing what they're doing. And so when we have these sort of mission overlaps, it's just sort of a natural thing to do. And really, we're just super pleased to be a part of this project and to have owned this property for a year or two in time, and to see where it's going next is a real privilege. So thank you to Pam and Clyde and Travis, who's not here.
Again, thank you so much to Placer Land Trust, and especially to Jeff and Anna, who have been super amazing with communicating with us and on top of everything and being there for any questions that we have, and to all the staff of Placer Land Trust for being so amazing and just being on top of everything and getting stuff together, getting this all together. Especially Elias, I know he was out here cleaning a lot of stuff, so we greatly appreciate everything. Make sure I hit everything I'm supposed to talk about. So there's two things that obtaining this property from Placer Land Trust gives to the tribe. One, it gives us a place to revitalize our culture, revitalize plants, and bring back traditions. But it also, by Placer Land Trust acknowledging the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe, it gives us a louder voice in seeking restoration, because now Placer Land Trust acknowledges us as a tribal government, which gives us a bigger fight and allows us to have more of a voice of seeking in our fight for restoration, which is, I don't know how long we've been doing it, Pam. 20 plus years. I was a little kid in the corner then, so I was there. What also I want to happen from this amazing partnership we're doing with Placer Land Trust, and continued partnership, this isn't it. We got a lot of things going on.
Yep.
But I want this day to also spark hope for other tribes and other tribal communities to reach out, talk to your local land trust, talk to people, and don't be afraid to speak up for your people, and don't give up. Just keep going and keep fighting, and you never know who can be a partner with you and who will work with you. So don't be afraid to speak up and talk to people, and you never know what can happen. Here we are.
Yeah, if Travis hadn't spoken up on that site visit, who knows?
Yeah.
It was really, because we can listen. We can all listen. Well, somebody needs to say something that we can listen to, for these things to happen. So
Absolutely.
that was great that he did speak up. Yeah.
So, in honor of the tribe taking ownership of the Gerjuoy property, we wanted to give it a name in the native language, so that way it's representation of the historical factor. But we also wanted to pay honor to Neil Gerjuoy and his family for just out of respect. So we are officially named the property. Wow. Let me catch my breath before I actually try to say it. The property will be officially known as the Yo Dok'im Pakan Gerjuoy North Fork Preserve, which Yo Dok'im is the name for the North Fork River, which you can actually see from the viewpoint that's out here, and Pakan, which is not a little net, but actual. It's a word for spring. And springs are a very spiritual place for us, and it's a way for us to give prayer and honor. So I think that's all I have.
Here.
Oh, yeah.
Did you want to say anything?
No.
I actually have one more thing. So the professor that we have been working with on our federal restoration wrote a letter for this day. He's very sad he couldn't be here. So I'll read the letter. So, it is my great pleasure to write this letter congratulating the tribe and the Placer Land Trust on reaching an agreement to return the Yo Dok'im Pakan Gerjuoy North Fork Preserve back to traditional ownership. I am sorry that I am unable to be with you in person for this truly momentous occasion. My thoughts are very much with the tribe, knowing that this land return provides the tribal community true presence in its ancestral home, and in admiration of the Placer Land Trust for making the brave decision to make the right choice by the tribe. As a researcher and advocate who supports unrecognized tribes across the United States, I know firsthand how rare the return of land is to federally recognized tribes generally, let alone to tribes that have only state recognition. Like the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe of the Colfax Rancheria. Placer Land Trust's decision today recognizes that we have a special responsibility to be strong allies for tribes who have experienced genocide, the trauma, displacement, dispossession from tribal lands, and the deleterious consequences of federal policies intended to terminate rather than support tribes. Northeastern California has one of the history's highest concentrations of unrecognized tribes in the country, due in large measure to its history. Today's land return represents an important act of cultural repair. 1 year ago today, the tribe received back a small parcel of its original rancheria from a generous donor, who has also sought to make the right choice by the tribe. Today's land return creates even more momentum and recognition for the tribe in Placer County. It is a rare honor to work with the tribe on its path to federal recognition. I look forward to working with the tribe, the Placer Land Trust, and to others to discuss the importance of the partnership realized by the land return and how it can be a national model. Sincerely, Dr. Brian Daniels. Oh, it's right here.
Are they going to come sing with you?
Probably not.
Ricky?
No. So,
They're not.
to end this ceremony, I would like to offer a song. This song is one that my grandmother remembered from being a small child to something that she shared with all of us. And I feel like it's... I got chilled already. I feel like it's important to share this song today, and it's appropriate. So hopefully the voice doesn't crack. Hey, hey, lolema, lolema, ha, ha, lolema, hotima. 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 So, that's it.
Is that an elderberry clapper stick?
Yes.
Sweet.
So we have an optional short hike that we can take all together or in spurts. We have some food and water behind us, and just invite you all to enjoy this property and this day at the pace that suits you. We'll be here for a while. Pam didn't introduce herself. Introduce yourself.
I'm Pam Kubler. I'm the Tribal Council Treasurer and
You're everything.
Coyo Land Conservancy Treasurer and Cultural Preservation Officer. It's been a pleasure to work with some of the younger guys moving forward, and the appreciation and gratitude for the gift of this property today is, again, there's few words that can, we feel a lot in our hearts and sometimes don't have words, but we sure are grateful and appreciate all of you coming out today this cold morning, and all that you have done and the support of our tribe. I think that's about me today.
Yeah, please introduce yourself to somebody you don't know today and say hello. Share the day. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Beautiful song.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to get those guys. That's fine.